Okay, so give me just a second. We should be going live. Cool. I think we're on the internet.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, there's a long delay, and I haven't figured out exactly how to fix that. So that's a fun thing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's still not showing the new screen on my tablet.
Oh, I think, yep, I've had it.
Hey, there we are.
Sweet. One of these days we'll get the hang of it. Yeah, it's still not showing on mine, but whatever.
It's showing on mine, but
I
there's
look pretty
definitely a
shifty because I'm looking from the camera to my other screen, which
Yeah,
is
I'm
where
looking at my
we are.
laptop. So.
I'm like, huh? What? Hi everyone. It's me, Pleasure Nerd. I've taken over this stream. It's no longer Rick's, it's mine. But today we are doing the character creation corner, which was created because I have too much time on my hands and I like creating characters, and I managed to blackmail Rick into doing this. So we have the lovely Amanda Mundy from, and I can't remember your dice company, I'm so sorry.
Desired Effect Dice.
Yep.
Desired Effect Dice. And today we're going to be having some fun. In the theme of Halloween, we're going to be creating characters with a corruption arc. So we're going to think about how they go from a good character through to an evil character. It could be like through playing, and then options and choices that are made along the way as to how you can do that. But it's just to play around with the idea of like corrupting a character. I'm sure everyone has done this from time to time, where it's like, how can I create the worst outcome for my lovely special precious boy or girl? Bean. For my lovely special precious bean, how do I make them a gremlin when you put water on it?
Yeah, beans of any gender.
So yeah, we're hoping it's going to be good. We are limited this time. We thought about this one, which is we are limiting ourselves to 3 classes to pick from, which is Paladin, Cleric, and I've done this in alphabetical order, and Monk. That's how the alphabet works.
Yep, 100%.
Yep.
That works however you want.
That's how we're planning to go about this. I'm going to let Rick introduce himself under pain of death. Off you go.
Fair. Yeah, so I'm Dungeon Master Rick. I am the DM for Hammer of the Gods, our actual play podcast. I do some streaming here on Twitch, obviously. Find us on social media at HamPod on most platforms, except for Twitter, because some jerk stole that for their podcast that doesn't exist anymore, I think.
So,
I know, bastard. And Twitter won't let me steal it back. So, what are you going to do? Anyway, that's me.
We'll move it over to Amanda.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Desired Effect Dice. You can find me on Instagram and Etsy. And that's all. I like to join things when Rick bullies me into doing it.
Bullies you because I just say, hey, what are you doing on this day? Do you want to do this?
And I
thing?
say nothing, and that's a lie, and then I join anyway. So
yeah.
By bullying, I mean he asks and I say yes. It's fine. We pass on the bullying.
But it's
how
very
it works.
bullying. 100%.
Yeah. It's totally my choice.
So I would say, and Ellie, unless you're just wildly opposed to this idea, that we could let Amanda choose what she would like to create as far as characters. Do you have a preference on class out of those 3?
I would probably choose Cleric.
Nice. And Ellie, do you have a preference?
I think I'm going to go cleric as well.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to stick to a class and
Fair.
also tweak it so that then you flavor all of the stuff to be evil.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm giving away my end game here. I literally just thought of it and I was like, ooh.
Hey.
So yeah.
I feel like not to just like shit on you guys choosing cleric, but let me shit on your guys' choice real quick. I feel like
Not
clerics
rude
are
at all. That's
somewhat,
fine.
yeah, I feel like clerics are somewhat easier to be like, oh, they're corrupted, because there are literally some subclasses that are kind of borderline evil for them.
Mm-hmm.
And same for paladin, you know. You have the, what is it, the fallen paladin?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
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 So
I
it's,
couldn't remember if that was just ASMR or if that was both.
I can't remember whether it's fallen, but I know that there's a paladin type. Oh, Oathbreaker
That's
was
right.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah. You said ASMR earlier, one of you, and then I just couldn't get it
didn't.
out of my head.
Sorry, that's the only choice now.
ASMR or nothing. So,
Right, that's all.
yeah, I'm going to pick Monk because I feel like it is usually considered like the more consistently like lawful or lawful good. Obviously, the older edition clerics and paladins are pretty much just always lawful good and no exceptions. But yeah, I think I want to corrupt a monk today.
Nice.
We've got our little corruption arcs. Cool.
Yeah.
This is going to be hard because I'm right-handed and I sprained my right arm. So all of the stuff where I'm like, I shall animate using my main hand. I can't.
Minor details. Totally fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Just going to look up cleric, which is next to P.
Right next to it. Because
Yeah.
again, that's exactly how the alphabet works.
Exactly.
If you take
I'm
them and
glad you-
rearrange them, then it's in alphabetical order, so it's fine.
Exactly.
You're good.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I've
I'm
never
right.
seen a law that says that you have to have them in that order. So
Right.
I don't
You can
think
do
there,
whatever you want.
like, you really probably, there is no actual order. It's just an order that's helpful.
Right. Just to make it easier to remember.
Yeah.
is it easier though? Is it really? Have you met small children?
Unfortunately, I have.
I mean, earlier today, and I shall be returning to them.
Unfortunately.
I don't mind them. I don't mind them if I can like give them to someone else.
Right.
I don't have to keep them.
A loner small child.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. My cat wanted to be on the stream for a few minutes.
I mean, as one
That's
does.
very fair.
We
Yeah.
are pretty fantastic people. So
It's true. It's true. You're right.
all right. So does anyone
I did not know there
have
was a goddess of agriculture. That's sweet. I mean, it makes sense. Sorry, I'm going through the like Forgotten Realms gods. I was like,
Nice.
oh, agriculture. That makes sense. Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Ellie
does
is
anyone
dumb.
have anything in mind as far as like species for their corrupted character?
Not yet. I'm trying to pick between 3 domains now.
See,
I'm doing ASMR just to amp it up for fun.
but not the fallen one, right?
No, not the fallen one.
Because that would be too easy.
Right, yeah, like
Well,
it's
you could
just
become
orange red.
fallen.
That's true. So
Like,
you could get like
slowly
so with
lose your feathers or like lose your
Ooh.
searing, blinding eyesight.
with an ASMR.
Right, that's what I was thinking was going to happen. Was like slowly the feathers start falling away as you go away from your oath. You start like losing. I'm thinking of the flight one. I guess
Yeah.
the blinding vision, essentially, like horror face one, where it comes out of every orifice. I don't know
think they
why
should
that's
look
the
like-
thing.
I think
that
they should look
could
like
get dimmer.
mythological angels. Yeah, I think they should look like mythological angels with like 16 wings and like eyeballs everywhere.
Oh, so
Like-
the biblically accurate ones?
It's not
Yep.
biblical, it's Torah. It's not
Wow.
mentioned in the Bible. Sorry,
Are they not?
I had
Not
this
at all?
argument with my brother. No.
Hmm.
Appearances of angels are not mentioned at all in the Bible,
Interesting.
which
Really?
is why people think they look, it's why people think that they look like people with wings.
They look just like us.
Yeah, totally.
It's like,
What I always used to think, like, why would people be scared? They look like people with wings. Why would you be scared of that? And then I read about, like, the Torah is the the Jewish holy book. I'm sorry, I only know Christianity. I wasn't allowed to learn the other stuff when I was younger, and I really need to bone up on other religions. But so it's mentioned in the Torah, the descriptions, but not the Bible. But yeah, reading those, I was like, yeah, that sounds fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
A giant wheel of eyes. Yeah,
Right.
I'd be bricking it as a shepherd. I don't even know what a wheel is.
Right. Oh, that's
wheels totally didn't
horrifying.
exist back then.
Nah. That
Also,
didn't come around to like
hello-
the 1800s.
Hello, chat. Just as a brief hello. We've not spoken to you guys yet, but hello, we are here. We are paying attention.
Oh, I did say Tim dropped in, and I said hello to him in chat.
I don't know how many of us are watching this, but I know I am also, and there are, outside of me, 8 people.
See, according to my tablet, there are 9. According to Streamlabs, there are 7. So I don't know who to believe.
I think it might be 7 because I am watching.
I am also watching.
In theory,
So,
it should.
We've
In theory, it
actually
should.
got 6 people. Hi, 6 people. Make yourselves known. Say hello to us.
So demanding. Make yourself known.
I am. Say
Present
hi. I want a
yourself.
conversation. Talk to me right now.
Be our friend.
There's going to be a delay,
Not
but talk
aggressive.
to me. It's just my history. What can I say?
Yeah, very casually, but be our friend right now or else.
Right.
Do you have a flag? No flag, no country.
I'm pretty sure Eddie Izzard legally has to be mentioned in every single thing we ever do.
In every single stream, yeah.
It
It's
is the
because
law.
I'm British and you're American.
That's fair. And I mean, Eddie Izzard is fantastic.
And I
so.
say British because I'm half Scottish. So if I was fully like English, I would say English.
Yeah, I think
It's
I
just
may
I
have,
have this voice.
I think I may have mentioned this before, but I don't know if it was on stream. I'm just like a bastard of all of the UK, pretty much, and then
Same.
part of Europe. Because like on my mom's side, it's German and French,
Hi everyone.
which is great because everyone knows that the Germans and French love each other like no else.
That's why Germany and France have always been allies.
Always, every single time. Yeah, and then basically every part of the UK. So I'm just a bastard of way too many
Of all of
different
them.
things. Yeah.
But Je suis Croakers, that looks like a lot of fun. The character creation process is my favorite part. I cannot stress how much I love this. There has been an element of my job recently where I have to create user profiles. And I can tell you, it feels like I'm doing character creation for a job. Like,
That's awesome.
I spent about a day just coming up with backgrounds, and it's very fun.
That sounds
And
fun.
my manager was like, you are going way too in depth about this, because they all began to get backgrounds and like why they are the way they are and why they're using our services and their feelings towards our services and their relationship problems and why their marriage broke down. And he was like, this is a bit
Amazing.
much.
Yeah, totally fine. Everything's fine.
And why they're co-parenting and how that co-parenting is going. And why the single dad is a single dad. And it's a really tragic story. Anyway, so that
Yeah.
is what I did earlier this week.
Joke's on you if you thought this was a D&D stream. We're actually full of shit,
Wrong.
and we just talk about whatever the hell we want, and sometimes D&D.
So I appreciate that
Yeah.
as two ADHD people, you were like, you know what we need is a third ADHD person to join this stream to keep
So-
us on track,
So,
obviously.
Amanda,
Wait, are
as-
you also ADHD? Because this is a
Yeah.
nightmare.
Oh, so
Yeah,
no.
okay. So everyone we've had on have had ADHD and we've all gone off the rails.
So fun fact, almost everyone
Sure
who
there's
I
character
have had
creation with
on the
ADHD.
podcast. Well, so almost everyone I've ever had on the podcast, not intentionally. I wasn't like, let me just find all of the people with ADHD and recruit them. I was just like, hey,
We
these
find
people are
each other.
fun. We do.
Yeah.
It's really
Neurodivergents
weird.
find each other. Same with
Yeah.
queer
Super true.
people. Because I'm
Yeah.
bisexual, and the majority. Also, I do art, so it makes it much easier to
Right.
find queer people. Feel like
It's
that
true.
kind of crowd attracts them. But in every workplace, I've managed to magnetically be attracted towards all the other queer people. It's like,
Right, yeah.
you're also on the LGBTQIA. Wonderful. We're going to stick in a group and beat anyone who makes fun of us.
You know,
Really?
in high school when you had like the LGBTQ alliance, it's like that, but in like adult life everywhere.
Yeah.
You have to have that alliance everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it helped because one of my colleagues got like discriminated against by his manager. So I reported him repeatedly
Good. That's
until we
awesome.
left. It was like, yeah, no, he's being discriminatory, and he called him a fairy.
Oof.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whenever I go to a job interview, I bring up my wife at least once on purpose, because if that's going to be an issue, I don't want to deal with it. So
Yeah.
so I make sure that she comes up in the conversation at least once, so that if they have a problem with it, they just won't hire me, and that's not my problem.
That's a great
So
way
is-
to do it.
Is your state as garbage as mine, where they don't have to like tell you why they fire you or anything, Amanda?
I live in Florida. There are basically no laws here, so
Yeah.
no, it's there's no they can do whatever they want here as employers. Tell you to leave, and that's all.
So I've picked a domain because I think it'll be fun to corrupt, which is the light domain.
Nice.
Okay.
Because cleric level 1 spells burning hands, fairy fire, flaming sphere. It's third level, flaming sphere, scorching ray, 5th level, daylight, fireball, 7, guardian of faith, wall of fire. Goodness gracious, great walls of fire. Flame strike. 9th level. Flame strike and scrying, which I think these would be very fun to use for evil.
Absolutely.
So
I did Twilight Domain. For
Yeah.
fun.
So, sorry, I just wanted to respond out loud to chat since I've just been like chatting back most of the time.
Mm.
But yeah, just we croakers. It's pretty much the same here in Missouri, that they don't actually have to tell you. There's no like requirement, and they will absolutely find any excuse, and it's usually complete and utter bullshit. So,
Yep. It's generally like, oh, the manager doesn't like you, it's time to go.
Oh yeah, so I got fired from a very large corporation that I'm not going to say on stream because I don't want to get sued into oblivion. But
Fair.
when I worked there, I had put in my 2 weeks because I was going to go and do a paid internship when I was still in my undergrad. And I think I only had a couple of days left, and I had reported this manager more than once because he was, a piece of shit. And so, like, on one of my last days, I had reported him because he was berating people on the floor of the store, which is against policy. It's also
That's
super
awful.
unprofessional and shitty.
Right.
And, like, I don't just mean, like, being loud and correcting them. I mean, he was just being an absolute shitbag. And so I reported it, as one does, when you're not a terrible person. And
Right.
they fired me. They actually said, like, oh, we're gonna go ahead, like, hours later, they were like, hey, come into the office. Like, we're gonna go ahead and let you go a little bit early. And I was like, are you firing me? They're like, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and do this. I'm like, Cool. Thanks.
We're just gonna go ahead and have you never come back. Thanks.
Yeah. And like, part of me really didn't care because I only had a couple of days left. I didn't plan on ever coming back there if I could help it. Yeah. So the US is absolute garbage. And I'm sorry to hear that other places are like that as well.
Really worries me at how little rights you have, and this is from Great Britain, where they're trying to get rid of the like human rights that we have.
That's weird. Like, America's all about keeping our human rights. Definitely.
Yeah.
We're very free.
It's so odd to me. Anyway, I also wanted to say hi to Artemis, and thank you for dropping by in the chat as well. I know we've been speaking a lot to Je suis Chaos, but
don't worry, I'm doing my best to chat with
love
everyone in chat.
Seeing Artemis, yeah. But I have a race. I want to be a dwarf.
Okay.
Thanks.
I have to ask. One, are you going to be like any particular gender of dwarf? And two, do they have a beard?
Yeah. Duh. Whole point of dwarfs. Like you play a dwarf to have a beard, right?
So, right.
There's no other reason to.
You're basically playing a beard.
Yeah, absolutely.
As
but not
we
like
all have before.
Not like that kind of beard.
I'm saying, if you're part of the alliance, you've done it for a friend.
No, that's exactly. I was like, that's a joke only the queers are gonna get. I get off like quite easy because I look straight, so because I'm married to a man.
If I'm
but then that
by
also
myself,
means that some people are like really judgy because they're like, you're just doing it for attention. It's like,
right,
no.
yeah.
Crippling crushes kind of did that for me.
You're still queer, even if you like identify, like if you happen to be in a straight passing relationship, you're still queer.
Yeah.
Weird how that works.
My husband is very straight, and it's quite funny because I've been like, everyone's a bit gay, and he's like, no.
Yeah, it's definitely a spectrum.
Like everyone I know is a little bit gay, and I was like,
yeah,
but I'm not.
So
I'm very straight. Oh, okay. Like he's chill with it and everything, and he's not done that whole thing of like, oh, it doesn't count if you go it with a girl. So that was previous
that's horrible.
exes who were horrid.
Oh man.
I'm very lucky to
the world of being a bi woman.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to be easily straight passing by myself. My wife is what I like to call her the mile away gay, where she's got short hair, wears cargo shorts, a polo shirt, like she's very obviously gay.
That's a good name for it. I like that.
Yeah, you can tell that they're gay from a mile away. Don't step on my computer. Really?
Yeah, Je suis Brexit was horrid. I am very upset still by it, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it sucked, and I really hate it.
Yeah, not to get into it. Like I did my best to try.
We've had chats about it, and it's been really. I get quite heated about it.
And like I did my best to follow it because I mean it doesn't directly affect me, but it does a little bit. And I still don't really fully understand it in any form or fashion, but yeah, it seems pretty awful, and so glad that we could be a bad example for the rest of the world.
Yeah, glad we were.
Thanks for leading the way in bad decisions.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Truly a world leader. What I really love is seeing the top of my head in the live. Whenever I look to read any text, it's like, ugh.
Well, I guess you
at least
can
I've
just
got
never
hair
read
up
again.
there. I need to get the Bill Bailey cut. Just take out that part, and then it can be interesting for people.
It'll be a good look.
Yeah, I think I could pull it off for like a day, and then I'll cry. Also, I think I'm going to be a hill dwarf because that is wisdom, and I think clerics are wisdom based.
Honestly, I am a huge fan, and I just talked whenever we did our session 0 for our new stream that we're going to be doing soon on Friday.
Neat.
I'm a
Yeah,
huge fan of the rule in Tasha's where you can, instead of
as long
going
as
with
you can
like,
explain it, you can play it.
yeah, basically. And I also like they've got the rule about your ability score modifiers where it's not racially decided. It is like you can either
Class
choose.
decided
Well, like you could
and
choose
background
whichever.
decided.
Yeah, like basically you get to choose which you get the +2, which gets the +1, or they also give you the option of just dividing 3 points among any abilities. I like that
That is
one.
cool.
Honestly, I do that one pretty frequently whenever I have, like if I'm allowed to roll and it's not a standard array, and I have pretty decent scores, I would rather just spread 3 ones across the ability scores rather than needing the
Just to bump
+2.
your average up overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, a 20 whenever you're starting the game is fantastic, but you know, sometimes it's fun to not be ridiculous.
Before Tasha's came out, I believe that there was a supplementary which had this kind of detailed and showed how you could add it in if you were different classes, like what kind of weapons would you use, how could you, what was your background in, where you, like for monks it would be like, were you more martial arts, were you more brute force, like how did you kind of do this? Did you focus your time on studying the scrolls, or did you spend all your time kicking the shit out of dummies? Like,
Makes sense.
and I thought that was really like a nice way to do it, because I remember when I was looking at dwarfs when I played, my very first character was a gnome, and I remember thinking like, I don't understand how this worked, like why I've got these extra modifiers. Like, I know they tried to explain it, but it was just like, oh, I don't know how I can like bring this into my role play.
Right.
Because
That is
I
fair.
am not a min-maxer, and it's awkward for my party who want to have a clean playthrough.
Yeah, I don't
people
ever.
Don't panic and run away.
My character creation style is generally, hey, this sounds fun, and not like what will be the maximum benefit ever.
Same. Mine is like, here's a fun concept, let's tweak it.
Right.
Or like, what would be the worst build
Right,
for
right,
this
right.
for this
And actually-
class, and how do I make it work? Or who would be the worst like race for this
Right.
class? Or
And actually, that's a
what-
good point that, you know, our last 2 streams you kind of brought up, but I think this time we got distracted because, you know, it's who we are. It is our personality.
ADHD.
But yeah, Amanda, how do you normally create your characters? Like, what's your process?
I generally start with my class and then work around that. Usually for race, it's whatever happens to catch my attention first when I'm looking. So I'll just go through the list of races every time and be like, yeah, this one sounds like it's what I am today. Which, you know,
I'm bird
is what it is.
person today. I feel feathery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As one does.
basically. That's exactly how it is. Like my changeling for Bad Boys New Alexandria, I felt a little interchangeable that day, so I was like, well, it's what I'm going for. She doesn't have a face. It's what it is.
Well, she has lots of faces. It's whichever
Yeah,
face is.
she doesn't have a face she shows people that's her own.
Yeah. Except apparently she does.
I-
We just don't see it ever.
It's a secret.
Yeah. I really want to play more like, sounds terrible, like horrifying or like really ugly characters.
Do it.
Well, because like with elves, I want them to look freakish. And a lot of people's elves tend to be like beautiful. And I'm like, no, I want it to be uncomfortable to look at them. Like, you know, I want them to be otherworldly because they are.
But
Again,
no one
too
ever
much
said
practice in
otherworldly
my
had to
life.
be. Well, nobody ever said
Um,
otherworldly had to be beautiful. It could be like
Well,
Right.
that's the whole
otherworldly.
point. Yeah. And so my understanding is that elves have glamour. And they have this whole facade of being these beautiful, wondrous creatures that allure people. And underneath, they're sort of wrinkled little bastards with
Nice.
cheekbones that would cut a slice of bread. Like, they are so sharp and like just freakishly like elongated and sharp features in a non-attractive way, like in a non-striking way.
Right.
You know, like,
I
what
think
is wrong with your face?
that's kind of how it is traditionally in like the Fey realm, right? Like they're not
Mhm.
necessarily our ideal of beautiful, but like you said, the glamour makes it look like they are. But when you see past the glamour, it's like you said, it's uncomfortable to look at. Which, you know, it makes a lot of sense. They're not the same race as humans, so why would they be something that humans would find attractive?
Right.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
They just get to be whatever freakish thing they want to be
Right.
and their own ideal of beauty. But like, yeah,
100%.
so I think my character's going to be a female dwarf with a long, luscious beard. Because
Oh, yeah. On the subject of
want that.
dwarves, while I'm coming up with this character, have you seen Rings of Power?
I have not. My husband
I haven't either.
has.
So I had the hell is that called? Prime. Whenever I was going to order something, because I hate that place, but like sometimes it's necessary. It's very convenient. And then it was like, oh, hey, do you want a 2-week trial of Prime? I'm like, yeah, of course. Why would I want to like have free shipping? That's ridiculous. And then I realized that because I had that, I also had access to, their streaming service. So I was
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
let me just binge all of Rings of Power and The Boys real quick. So I did that until my trial ended. And
Nice.
I'm not going to spoil anything. I thought that it was good. Rings of Power. The Boys is a, complicated subject. But Rings of Power, I thought it was good. I would definitely like some things to be different. Not so much, like, I don't care about the fact that there's black dwarves and black elves. Like, I think that's fantastic. I think it should have been that way all along. But, racist people exist, unfortunately. My biggest complaint, though, about the portrayal of any species, race, whatever, in that show is that the, like, second most shown dwarf, I think her name is Disa, maybe? I swear I watched it and I paid attention and I remember things. Either way, female dwarf does not have a beard. Like, very, very much beardless.
But that was also in Lord of the Rings too. Like, I noticed it when they showed fleeing dwarves and none of the women had beards. And I was like, what kind of fuckery is this?
I'm trying
Wait,
Dwarves should
books,
have beards.
In the books, they have beards, don't they?
In the books, there's no female
I
dwarves
don't think
ever
there's
shown.
a description of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And my thing, like, I will talk
Really?
about Terry Pratchett a lot because it links very well into fantasy and high fantasy because it takes the piss out of it. But it's just, if you ever see me fangirling about it, is because I have most of his books in a bookshelf, which is usually behind me on these things. And they have a dwarf called Cheery Littlebottom, who is essentially like an allegory for like trans. So
Okay.
so all dwarfs are assumed to be male, and it's very against tradition and law and everything to present as female. And she is like the first in the police, basically, that comes out and is like, I'm female. I like being female. I want to be
Nice.
known as Cherie instead of Cheery. And she starts wearing makeup and plaits her beard in a more feminine way. She's still a dwarf. She's not going to start shaving or be undwarfish, but she's just a female version of it. And I just thought it was like fantastic.
Yeah, that's very well done.
This is so cool.
Yeah, like I think that's a well done like way to do it, is without like being able to decide what her gender is without changing who she is as a dwarf in general, without having to like get rid of the beard and be more traditionally feminine or whatever.
Yeah. And like there's a scene or a book where she goes to a ball and wears like this horrendous red sequined dress because it's her first kind of, she didn't get to be a little girl who got to wear that stuff. So it's that whole like, well, I want to wear exactly what I want to wear, which is ultra girly. So like lots of pinks and sequin and things that don't suit her and are not her style, but because she didn't get to play with it, she doesn't know.
Right. As adolescent girls, we've all done that. Worn something.
Yeah, and you get to do it when you're like 12 instead of when you're like, well,
an adult,
dwarves are like 50.
Right.
So
So
it's really like cool, and they've also Terry Pratchett did a great job in Monstrous Regiment about sort of some trans issues as well. I don't know how on purpose it was, but it felt very ahead of the times.
So I know I have been kind of focused on my character and not checking the chat. Has anyone else been looking at the chat? Because I definitely have not.
Nope.
So Tobes McGobes is talking about Terry Pratchett books, and I know who Tobes McGobes is. So hi. But yeah, I think so. I've got my character kind of roughly. So I want a dwarf cleric of the light domain, and I want them to start off really like fresh faced and like so excited to spread the good word of let me find the light god. One moment. Hold music. Na, 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 hold music.
One of these days I'll be able to get, music and stuff.
Na, na, na.
When I figure out how to be a
that's
human
neutral.
being.
Na, na, na. Lathander. Let's do Lathander.
Nice. Also, just we croakers, in Spelljammer, there is the Thri-kreen. They are a humanoid insect race. I know because I play one in the Cantrips and Coffee Spelljammer campaign. And they're fantastic. They've got 4 arms. They are telepathic. It's a lot of fun. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, highly recommend. Do I use my musket and then reload it with my bonus action using my smaller arms? Every single time. Have I shot off someone's arm in every single game so far? Yes. And I will continue to do so.
Just one of the bounty hunters from Star Wars.
Basically, except I haven't gotten paid.
I'm imagining Vosk, but with an extra arm.
Less
extra
lizardy.
2 arms, not a singular arm. He's got
more chitinous,
2 arms, not
but
3.
Pretty close, yeah. Oh, Duke, I would definitely say audiobooks would be your best friend.
Honestly, I've stopped reading, and the audiobooks have ruined my life and my patience for reading books.
Have they ruined your life or made it better?
So much better.
Well, ruined my life because now I only listen to Terry Pratchett. I've got a book about fear, which makes me worried because it's about like how to protect yourself, but it makes me anxious listening to it.
Fair.
And then I've got like Hitchhiker's Guide, which is the same kind of vein of humor.
Everybody should have, yeah.
Yeah. And then I've got Coraline, read by Dawn French,
Nice.
which is just delightful, but it's very short.
Yeah.
I've had an Audible account since like 2011, I think. So I have an outrageous amount of audiobooks on there.
Oh,
and then
glorious.
I end up listening to like the same 3 series over and over again because that's
It's
who we
comfort.
are.
I
Right,
can't
yeah,
not.
this is my comfort traumatizing series. Thank you.
Why is Terry? So yeah, I will talk a lot about this. Why is Terry Pratchett? And I've got so comfortable with it. Like I've literally listened to Monstrous Regiment 10 times. I read the book 7 times before I got the audiobook because it's just one of
Nice.
those like I like the way it goes. There are very few moments where I get very uncomfortable, like with conflict. I don't like unnecessary conflict or like some of the Terry Pratchett ones. It deliberately, so a character got possessed by a creature called a hiver, and it would take control of this witch's body and would essentially just try and destroy her. Like he wanted all the power, and she eventually fought him off. But whilst she was the hiver, she did like a whole bunch of like really not very nice things, and I find that incredibly distressing. Like that part makes me so uncomfortable, and like it's like stealing money from an old man that she was helping and spending it on like luxury clothes essentially, and it just made me like, I don't like this part. I like when she beats it, so how do I skip to that bit? Like,
Yeah.
skip all the
I have,
conflict, get to the resolution.
I have a real bad habit of doing that where I'll like, especially with books I'm familiar with, I'll skip over like anything like that where I don't like the conflict. There's like certain, if they do something super cringe, I can't deal with it at all. I'll just like close my eyes and pretend it's not happening. And cheating in relationships, it doesn't matter what relationship it is. It doesn't matter if I'm reading fan fiction. I can't tolerate it at all. I will literally like delete that fan fiction from my like. Nope, I can't. That's intolerable
Very
for me.
much the
Fair.
same. I cannot do that.
Yep.
Um,
It's a weird
So-
thing. My wife makes fun of me for it all the time when we're watching TV shows. If something cringe is coming on and I know it's gonna happen, I'll like leave the room sometimes, and she's like, "It's not real. Like you understand that it's not real." And I'm like, "It doesn't."
yeah, but
doesn't
it
matter.
feels real to
It
me.
Yeah.
feels real,
Like
yeah,
it affects
exactly.
my body. It stresses me out.
Right.
Like I can't
Yeah,
watch a Peep Show.
It's just like I am
Any
cringing
cringe
for them
comedy.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Any
can't
cringe
do it.
comedy I can't watch. It really
No.
it like really deeply distresses me. And
Yes, thank you.
my husband finds it really funny and I'm like, I can't cope. Goodbye. I'm going in the other room.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes, my wife doesn't find it funny. She's just like, "Why are you like this?" And I'm like, I honestly can't tell you why I'm like this. I just can't.
that's how it
That's blown
goes.
out my face. Whatever.
Can you not do that, please?
So back to
Where's the fun in that?
the
My cat is trying to knock over my phone stand.
for fun. So I was thinking, yeah, Light Domain, Hill Dwarf. She doesn't have a name yet, but my thought process is that she is really, really excited to like get on this journey to spread the good news of Lathander. She is like pumped. She is so happy to be part of a party, and she's gonna do her best to preach the good word. And then I would imagine like a few kind of steps in, she's like, I don't know whether people deserve to be saved. And that
Nice.
thought enters her mind of like,
Nice.
I don't know. Like, I've seen so many bad things already. I don't know if people as a whole deserve the goodness of Lathander.
Fair.
And then
Nice.
from there, she starts struggling to sort of discern from small bad acts to big bad acts.
Nice.
So, like, you know, initially it starts out with like, you're a murderer, you get murdered. Kind of equal justice. I'm not sure that's Lathander's vibe, but say
is
it is
now.
for this argument.
Yeah, it
For
is
this
now.
argument, Lathander's vibe is like, hey, if you murder, I'ma murder you. Fabulous.
Right.
And like big kind of horrid acts against people and abuse. And it's like, well, you clearly don't deserve the redemption, the love, the glory of Lathander. And then that goes down to like smaller things of like, you lied on your tax form.
That's a sin.
Yeah.
That feels incredibly Eddie Izzard right there.
Like, and like, oh, you're wearing two different kind of cloths that you shouldn't. I'm just using that because I know it from the Bible.
Right.
And
Cake or
like,
death.
yeah. And she becomes incredibly black and white about everything. If you don't follow the commandments or whatever it's called of Lathander, if you don't follow his teachings, you deserve to die because you're not living the truth. You're not living the goodness. And through that, she just becomes more and more like hateful. And I imagine she would turn against her party at some point.
Honestly, she sounds like a great BBEG.
Mm-hmm.
Really
and like
does.
she starts off as like this really sweet little thing who's like all fresh faced, and I'm imagining it's like first time they've had to like, or like her party kill someone that she thinks they shouldn't, and she starts doubting whether they should start living or should continue living.
Sure.
And they're going, well, like if they can do that kind of stuff, what stops everyday people from doing that kind of stuff, or you know, the lords or whatever? And so she's going to try and quell that from everyone, which is and like using daylight but twisting it so it's like searing. I know that's the point of daylight, but searing daylight that just like burns. It's and like fireball and guardian of faith, and she becomes fanatic. That was the word I was looking for. She becomes absolutely fanatic. And I would imagine, I'm not sure whether she would like lose her, I don't think she's losing her faith. I don't know whether she would still have her clerical abilities, quite frankly. Like the more I think about it, like
but honestly that can
God would be like, no, peace out.
But honestly, that could be kind of fun, just being like, okay, well, this is, you know, what we're gonna do, and then you have to reskin your character.
Yeah. Right. Like, would it be lawful? Ultimate lawful good, I guess, would be the lawful
true.
good to lawful evil. I guess that's how that would go in a like linear process. But I'm imagining like for flavor, as she gets more and more powerful, I'm imagining like cracks in her skin with light coming out, like she can't contain it. I'm thinking about the corruption aspect. How would she look as she goes down this thing?
Right, how would it show more?
Yeah, and in my head she's got like this like axe wound to the face because she missed a hit or like missed a dodge and had some serious damage to the face, and from that crack there's just like little specks of light coming through, and it's gone over her eye, so she's lost her eye, and it's like white with like that kind of pulsing light through it of holiness.
Okay,
that could then
that's awesome.
So, Amanda, do you want to follow that and tell us about your character?
So sorry, I hope I've not set it too high.
Yeah, that's like the ideal character, thanks. So mine is Enris. She is a protector Aasimar Twilight cleric. Her god is Ilmater. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't care at all.
I've heard it said that way, so that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So Ilmater is protector of suffering, basically. So in a similar way, she starts out very optimistic, adventuring, and then seeing suffering so much and seeing how often her party, who seems to be good, fails or dies, or she starts to lose faith some. So I feel like visually, the way that it would show for her, because she's an Aasimar, she would start out very light skin, light hair, and her visual would just get darker, like her hair would get darker, her, almost like makeup and stuff. So it would just, the less she believes that anything's being done to help the suffering, the less she feels like she can do, and the less she cares that she could do.
Okay.
What kind of Aasimar is she? Is she the face beam or is she wings?
Definitely
know
just
what
a ball of eyes.
That's
No,
what it does.
I guess a traditional light winged,
So I don't want to I just want to build on it. So like in my head, as she steadily becomes more, I'm trying to think of the word, as she loses her faith, I'm imagining either the feathers fall out and aren't replaced. And so she just has these like skeletal wings.
That's awesome. And that's now
Ooh.
absolutely what's happening.
And you can see
You're like,
how
"That's
far
canon
she's
now."
kind of going
Yeah.
away by how many feathers. I want to call them leaves because I end up drawing them like leaves because I can't draw fucking
leaves.
feathers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bird feathers, the bird leaves.
Yeah.
Bird leaves, yep.
And leaves are feathers of plants.
Right.
Basically.
But yeah, so like it initially starts with a couple, and so I don't know whether you missed it, Duke, but so the discussion here is about corruption of characters. So we had 3 classes we were going to pick. So just for anyone who's recently tuned in, we had 3 classes that we could pick from, which was cleric, paladin, and monk. It could be quite cool to do some other ones later on, but we figured we'd go for some nice, easy to hit categories.
Yeah, we'll do the
'cause
other
it's quite
classes.
easy to show.
We'll do corrupting the other classes as our pre-Christmas stream.
There you go. Perfect.
We'll have
To
a
get in the mood
Santa
of the
that will
season.
go terrible. Yeah.
To corrupt a warlock, do you gain faith? Is that
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Like
like
to
a
corrupt
reverse
warlock, you
corruption?
make them good. So
Right.
it's like a redemption arc for warlocks,
Right.
unlike clerics and stuff. So
Amazing.
an easy way, I think, for clerics and stuff would be losing faith. But my character wasn't losing faith. She
No, I like
was
that.
she was becoming less grey with her morality and becoming a lot more black and white. So Amanda went more losing faith, which is a wonderful way to do it, especially with the leaves and like how she herself turns a different shade to what she was originally.
Right.
But yeah, so I wanted to kind of take a similar idea but mess with it a bit, because this is the way my lovely brain works, of going, well, if I was a cleric, without losing my faith, how would I still keep my powers?
Right.
Oh, I'd go evil. Oh, I would go completely like, if you do anything wrong, you don't deserve to be here. You don't deserve the loving light of my God.
This is a really cool.
Yeah, I hope that explains it, Duke. And I'm a big thing of like visuals and like flavoring things. So like Amanda, how would you flavor your spells once that corruption has started? How would your spells appear originally, and would they change as she loses her faith?
I feel like because she's already like a Twilight Domain cleric, I want to say like her spells, especially the fire and light ones, would come out darker, like darker themed, where instead of giving off light, they would kind of suck the light out of things.
Yeah, love that. And for my character, what I would want to do is I would want to make the light in whatever she was doing brighter, so it's almost blinding.
Right, like a dangerous.
So like
way.
there's no distinction between like the hard light. So if it was a fire and you went into Photoshop and you just turned the fire white and it was just a blob of like white, that's how I would imagine her kind of fire related stuff would be.
That's
It's
awesome.
just way more intense. So it starts off as a like more friendly, like a warm fire, like a cozy, you know, in a tavern kind of fire, a nice warming thing. And then it becomes, as she loses her mind a bit, she becomes a lot more intense and a lot brighter, but in a really harsh way.
That's awesome.
Like more
Nice.
kind of starlight of like burning fire. I like arcs. Is my favorite thing to talk about. I'm like, oh, and then how do I flavor things? And how do we do this? And how would your character look as you descend into madness? How worm tongue are you gonna go? Are you gonna shave your
Oh, yeah.
eyebrows? How are you gonna go?
Mm.
That's the only thing they do. They just shave their eyebrows and then they're
They just
evil.
shave.
That's it.
That's how you know someone's evil. If they're half
Well, yeah.
evil, they've only shaved half of their eyebrows. I'm
Yeah.
looking at you, beauty gurus.
Okay, so that was actually perfect timing to let me, because I forgot that I would have to reset up the cameras if I switch it over to the screen share. So let me switch it over real quick, and of course it'll be a delay before it shows up in chat, but yeah, I've got the screen share up. I need to figure out how to do that so it doesn't have such a ridiculous delay. But yeah, so I decided that I'm going to go ahead and like my character, I wanted to make them, you know, Greek flavored, despite the fact that they're a Gith, and Gith are, I guess they could be a Greek Gith. I don't know. I don't know if you guys can see that yet, but
Yeah,
it
it's
should
up
be
on
in a
the,
minute now. Apparently mine is just behind everyone else's. So yeah, this is what I came up with. We're not sponsored by Fast Character, but you know, if they ever decide that they want to sponsor us, I'm not opposed to it. I think that'd be really neat. Yeah, so I made my character. His name is Sthenelaeus. He is a Way of Mercy monk and a Githyanki, because I can't
How
remember
do
if
you
it's
make May of
Githyanki or
Mercy
Githzerai.
evil?
Oh,
Oh, I'm
that's
interested in this.
I feel like that's so easy. Like the Way of Mercy. The way I see it is like he started out being like, oh well, you know, mercy. I just won't like kill people, because if I remember correctly in Tasha's, you know, they kind of talk about like for some mercy monks, it's like, you know, they decide who deserves basically to be spared and who doesn't. And I feel like Sthenelaeus just kind of decides nobody deserves to be spared. The mercy is just killing as many people as possible.
Amazing.
So like instead of just like being corrupted and being kind of unhinged, he's just fully unhinged. He's like a
So you're like releasing them from life.
yeah, which is a mercy. Then they don't have to worry
Yeah.
about like anything.
There's that.
No money, no food,
Stops
no
them
like
from sinning.
yeah, no interpersonal drama, health problems. Like you just release them from it by murdering everyone. So yeah, I made a serial killer monk.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly,
I totally
Jude.
see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's that's cool and messed up, man.
Well, and
Yeah.
I like because I also, I think I've mentioned previously on stream, I like the Tetracube, who also is not a sponsor yet. But Fast Character didn't have some of the same options.
So
And I really
I
like.
mean, this is an important question, I feel. You're big bad evil guy.
Mhm.
Are they a monologuer?
Meaning like Than Elias, would
Do-
they be?
So if a party were to encounter Thenalius, would he monologue? Would he give them I am doing this because you all deserve to be dead? Or is it a surprise attack, I've already killed you?
I mean, that's tough. That's a good question though. I
want to
feel
make more
like-
bad guys. I'm having fun with this. I'm having so much fun. Like,
I feel like probably he would be more of like a sneak up and attack you to then take you back and do the like classic serial killer thing of like not quite I don't want to
and
yeah, like I wouldn't say that he would be torturing them because that wouldn't be very merciful. Oh yeah, I like Duke has a good point. I think Dexter is a decent comparison.
Mhm.
You know, you take them back and you might do some monologuing at that point and kind of like explain to them like, hey, I'm killing you because you're a piece of shit. Let me explain to you how this is a mercy. And honestly, it may not even be a mercy for that person. They could start out kind of similar to Dexter, that like they're trying to take out bad guys, and then eventually they have that break, that like psychotic break where they stop being able to tell who's a bad guy and they just start killing whoever.
Makes a lot of sense.
I like that.
so it's kind of all three of us have gone for different routes, which I really enjoy
Yeah.
about this kind of stuff. Because mine is like her lines become more black and white. Yours is that they become more grey, and yours is that her faith is just draining.
Hmm.
And I love that. I think it's so. This is why I like doing this particular stuff, quite
Yeah.
frankly, because I find it easy to think that my option is the most obvious. Of like, oh, of course, everyone's going to think this. Everyone's going to
Right.
go down the line of like morally black and white.
Right.
Right.
If you lie even once, even
Yeah.
if it was a white lie telling someone they look good in a dress when they didn't.
Right.
I like the idea that that's how they begin their villain character arc, is like one time they lie to their friend about looking good in a dress, and it's just all downhill from there.
Right. Yeah.
I would like to think it would be a
was where they
series
drew
of
the line.
unfortunate events, and then that is what led her to be like, no, this needs to be black and white because this person is actually evil.
That
Amazing.
makes sense to me. Cool.
I love
Well,
it.
Ellie, I know you said that you're a little bit limited on time today, and we've
Yes, unfortunately.
gone a little
I
bit
do.
longer than we probably meant to, as per usual.
I think my family knows it was going to be a bit longer than advertised.
Right.
But I've had so much fun. I'd love to do this again. I'd love to make more
Yeah.
villains with you both.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on. It was fun.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
real quick, Amanda, would you like to tell us again who you are?
Yeah, I'm Desired Effect Dice. I'm Amanda, but I'm also Desired Effect Dice. And I make resin dice and I sell them sometimes.
And they're
That's,
fantastic, and I
that's
use them against you all the time.
He does. It's pretty rude.
That's like the worst. Do you pick them out specifically to use against Amanda?
Honestly, the first time I was just like, well, I just recently got these, so I want to use them. And now I'm just like, yeah, Amanda's playing. I should use her dice.
It's pretty rude, but
But-
acceptable.
I mean, I've had to stop myself from buying lots and lots and lots of dice. I think I've only got technically like 4 sets, which I know is like hardly any. But I had to
That's
stop
none.
myself. I know, but I had to stop myself because I was like, this is going to be a horrid habit and a very expensive one.
I mean, it sounds
So-
like you need to get some of Amanda's dice. That's what I'm hearing.
So I have a bad habit of collecting other people's dice, and I've never kept a set of my own for some reason.
That's terrible. Keep one of everything.
Okay, I would have a lot of dice. I already have like a huge tray full
Yeah.
of dice. But I enjoy trading with people, so I'm happy to trade my dice for other people's
Well, that
dice.
makes sense.
It's very
I've
a
true.
lot of fun.
started to make some charms, and I'll make sure that I have one of everything for my own personal use. So like, if I can't use it, how could someone else use it?
Right.
So yeah, Duke, I need to make the character art for this. So not
And-
to step on Amanda's end thing, but my name's Ellie. I'm also known as Pleasure Nerd everywhere. I draw and paint and do pixel art.
Awesome.
I do a lot of creative stuff. I also sculpt, but I don't post that because it takes ages and like no one's gonna watch that.
And for some
Um,
reason, you keep hanging
I
out with
would.
me.
Yeah, I hang
Yeah.
out with Rick because it's fun. But once I have created the art, and I'm currently, I don't have my sling on, but I've sprained my arm after falling off my bike. I can't draw for any length of time that I normally
Oh,
can,
no.
and it's not as good, and I'm very upset. Very
and
upset about it, but
I-
I'm going to, once I've got
think-
that art, I think we'll be posting it in various different, Rick will be posting it in various different places.
Well, and I think
Nice.
because we had talked on the previous, so the really only reason why I haven't put any of these on YouTube yet is that my brain was like, oh, hey, I should edit it in and be like, here's our character sheets, and then I just haven't done that yet.
And I've not
but-
done any of the art because my ADHD brain is like, I could do this, or I could paint a completely different character in watercolor.
Yeah,
Or you could make 17 more characters. Like there are
Yeah.
so many options of things
True.
that you
Give
could do.
me extra work to do eventually.
Right,
but
of
at
course.
some point, I mean, I know that. Well, actually, I don't know that I still have them anywhere, but at some point, I did have my characters from the last two streams. Ellie, I know you initially were doing yours pen and paper. I don't know if you made
I
your full
have.
character this time or if it was more of just like, let's describe them. But
I'm gonna
hey,
do
this time,
concept, but-
this time, because I figured out how to do the screen share and like made that happen, at least one of us has a character who shows
Hey.
up on screen. So this one might get posted soonish.
Okay.
I linked my
Jake's-
character in the chat, so
Oh, nice.
I made it on D&D Beyond. So.
Oh, it's starred out, so I don't know whether that's a restriction in
Oh.
Twitch.
Oh, yeah. I
Rude.
didn't realize
But
what
that
that was.
can.
Yeah, it's set up so that I think only I can post links.
So,
but let
Yeah,
me,
Amanda, send it to Rick and he
Gotcha.
can post it for you.
Or you can
And I'll
screen
make
share it
some
if you want, whatever.
characters up as well. And we can, yeah, a lot of this is flavor. So, but it could be very fun for people to use them as big bad evil guys. Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry, dude. I've got to go to hang out with my nieces and play some Mario Kart.
you
'cause
monster. How dare
My
you go have
my
fun.
husband double booked me, even though I had this in for a month and he only had his in for a week.
Rude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I can talk to you about what we did later.
So I
But also
think,
create some character sheets. We'll find a space to post them so that other people can use them in their campaigns if they would like to. You can
absolutely.
flavor them, you can give them entirely different personalities, but this is how we create characters, and I wanted to share that and make sure that other people see it, because like some people's processes are wild to me. So yours
Yeah.
showing it. Don't you dare call me your online best, you dick.
Did
So
it.
I've known that we played Overwatch when it first launched, and like we've been friends ever since. But
Just getting called out.
yeah, the funny thing is that I had asked if he wanted to meet in real life at a convention. He was like, "No, I don't want to see you ever." And then like ever since has been like, "Why don't you want to see me?"
Oh, that's fantastic.
You have to
Sounds
keep
about
your
right.
invisible friends where they belong.
Yeah. You guys,
yeah, at some
you guys
point.
live in the little box in my pocket. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's where you will stay.
I mean, it's going to be very difficult for me to come and see you guys. So
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, Amanda, if you're able to come or planning on coming, but I think quite a few of us, like from the Vactaire and from some other podcasts and whatnot, are going to try and go to GaryCon in March. So, you know,
And what state is that in?
Wisconsin, right?
Yeah,
Lake
that's
Geneva.
real far for me.
I
Real
mean,
far.
It's not that close to me either, to be fair.
I see.
But-
Let me see how long it would take me to drive there. Give me a second.
yeah, I'm gonna flake. So
Yeah.
sorry guys.
That's okay. So
They're
yeah,
getting agitated. I've just read my messages that I've been ignoring, and they're like, "So when am I meant to be picking you up?"